So right about here is one of the places that they would have camped at that night.
It's so peaceful out here. I've lived in the sector so long that I forgot what trees and fields looked like.
That's Sector 7 for you. Farming and raising livestock doesn't exactly work too well with back alleys and abandoned lots.
Why did they camp out with the sheep?
Wolves and other predators, including drunk Empire guardsmen that would use the sheep as target practice. Shepherds aren't exactly rolling in the dough, so you gotta protect what you got.
Wow, I thought shepherding was kind of boring.
Oh, it is. There are just random moments of almost dying in between.
So this is where they were that night.
That's what they tell me. And right there over that hill is where they saw them.
How many were there?
At first there was just one, but by the end of it, there were more than they could count.
How did they react?
They freaked out. One guy thought it was a bunch of aliens and took off running. They found him the next morning with a tin hat on his head.
He sure missed out.
Yeah, I'll say. The first one told them not to be afraid, which obviously was too late for the first guy. Then he or it or whatever it was told them that there was good news. The rescuer had been born, and he told them how he could find them.
Now you said there was a bunch more. What did they do?
They sang. Lights filled up the sky and they sang of God's glory and of peace touching down on earth.
Why do you think those angels appeared to them?
That's a question they asked each other all the time. They're pretty low on the totem pole, so to speak. Regular people don't usually give us shepherds the time of day. Who'd have thought that a messenger of God would even give us a second thought?
So what did they do next?
They went and saw the baby.
All of a sudden, this ragtag group of shepherds barges into the lobby asking about a baby.
The manager wasn't really keen on letting the guys in, but then they told him the story about the angels.
And it began to sink in that something incredible was happening with this baby. Dad was hesitant, but he led the shepherds back to the storage shed.
When they got there, they saw the baby in his mother's arms. Immediately, the guys dropped to their knees and began to worship him. The parents had no idea what was going on.
One of them explained that messengers from God had told them about the baby, and that they were there to see the one who would save our people.
The mother gasped and her eyes filled with tears. She asked if anyone wanted to hold the baby, but at first no one would. They said that they weren't good enough to hold the baby. They didn't matter.
But she insisted. She said that God was starting to turn things upside down. Rescue was coming for all people, not just the ones that mattered.
They passed the child around carefully. They celebrated and they sang, and then they went home. As long as those guys were alive, they never stopped telling that story. Every day was a new opportunity to tell it. That's how I know it so well.
And when they finally left, my dad made sure that he gave this new family some peace and quiet. He never forgot about the incredible things that he saw and heard that night. And he always wondered why God allowed him to be a part of something that amazing.
Wow. I'll say. So did anyone else come and see him?
Well, there was one more story that I heard.